What's up, everybody? Today's video is about stress management. I got this topic from a special friend of mine. Um, he's one of our employees for our company, and I love him dearly. And I've always believed in this gentleman. And it's he ended up in the hospital for an anxiety attack. I believe he's about 25, I think, which is a good age to go through, an anxiety attack. Kind of a confirmation that you're heading in the right area. Weirdly to say, why? Because, as Barack Obama says, if you set goals and you hit them, that means your goals weren't set high enough, right? If your calendar is not full of things to do, you're probably not being productive. So stress, and another quote by Jeff Bezos is, stress is there because you haven't taken action yet. The moment you take action, whether it's a micro step or 1 foot or 1 step, stress is eliminated immediately. I truly believe in all those because I'm 33 now. I've had an anxiety attacks, panic attacks, all the way to waking panic attacks, which is no fun at all. Like, that was the worst, and I don't wish that on anyone, not even my enemy, which I don't have. But if I did have enemies, I never would wish anyone having waking panic attacks. It got so extreme to the point where I wake up in the middle of the night, I woke my dad up, I woke everybody up, and the body was just freaking. My mind was freaking. I was running. I kept jogging in place, and I couldn't stop. One of the worst experiences ever in the world that I've ever experienced. I would never want anyone to go through that at all. It was one of the worst. If you have any questions, comment. I will get back to you guys there. I even leave a phone number. You can call me if you ever get an anxiety attack or panic attacks or feel like you're about to have one. Because when you're in panic attack or an anxiety attack, there's nobody you want to talk to because there's nothing we can do for you at that moment. But before all that, hopefully I can talk you through it, okay? So I've been there, okay? I've been depressed. I've been suicidal. I understand the full spectrum of that emotion. Luckily, at 26, I was able to meet my mentor who gave me the framework to work through those things individually as an individual, and how to build on top of this framework, okay? But I'm not going to get into that today. Today's about stress and what is stress and how I feel people should deal with stress, okay? And I think it's very simple at the end of the day. I just believe that our brains make it more complicated than it is. Our brains go through analysis paralysis, uncertainties, and things that we don't know how to go about. A couple of my other videos, I've always mentioned money is not important and knowledge is important. Because with money and no knowledge, you go nowhere. Okay? You kind of make a U-turn at the end of the day. So keep that in mind. Knowledge is important. Money is not. So what is stress? Okay? Stress is very simply the things that we want to accomplish. This is my definition of stress. It's the things we want to accomplish in our mindset, okay, in our brains that we have set for ourselves. It could be conscious or subconscious, okay? Things we set for ourselves that we want to accomplish, but we haven't quite taken the steps to get there. Or we don't know how to structure ourselves, or we don't have the self-discipline to structure ourselves. Okay? It's a multitude of things that create a foundation for us to attack a plan. Like, before you go to war, you gotta have a strategy. Before you go into business, you gotta have a business plan and then a strategy. If you wanna set out, and if you have a business, you wanna set out plans, ways to bring attention to people's eyeballs and make money and get them to buy from you, you have to have a strategy how to attack them, who you're targeting. Everything starts with a plan, a strategy, and then an execution. So I believe stress, a lot of it comes from not having the knowledge. Okay, the knowledge is so important, and then the discipline is so much. I think they're equally important. The knowledge, the discipline, and then the execution. Those three things, those three pillars, okay, that really create stress. Because remember, those are the three macro pillars, but there's a lot of micro pillars that stem from each of those individuals, okay? And let's just say, for instance, the knowledge part. Sometimes if you don't have the knowledge, you just don't have a roadmap of where to start or what to execute first. And then with our belief system that has been set for us, not by choice, but because of our upbringings, we now are limited to our self-belief. So when we have little low self-belief, we have very little knowledge, and we're not sure. Even if we want to take steps, we don't know how, so, which is the execution part. Okay. So it's really important that when I was young, growing up, I felt like my dad wasn't really a coach in my life. He was more of a guardian. And the difference is a coach would explain and coach and elaborate into little details on how to go through your life. And it was a lot of physical abuse because it was more like my dad was always like spanking me and hitting me and telling me I could do better, but never really giving me a framework on how to do better. Hey, son, do this and this and this to get better. It wasn't like that. It was just, you fucked up, spank. You fucked up again, spank. And it was like, dude, I don't have any knowledge of which way to go, right? It was constant spanking, and that was it. You can do better, spank. You can do better, spank. And it was like there's no instructions on how to do better. Like you bought a brand new electronic equipment. It comes with instructions step by step by step by step. Power it on, plug in the USB, download the drivers. Now plug in the USB, and then that's it, right? Steps. There was no steps for me. So growing up was painful. Not having the knowledge, not having not even realizing execution was there. I was naive to that. So growing up, I read a lot of psychology books. I read a lot of self-help books. I was in love with that. I don't know why, but maybe because I think the brain was curious and it needed those data to know that I can flourish in the future. So I was drawn to that naturally. I was always attracted to psychology books, self-help books, things of that nature, right? So maybe I was blessed in that way. And just reading those books every day and seeking those books all the time gave me more knowledge, understanding within myself, okay? Then it goes over to knowledge and then strategizing. I never really learned how to strategize until I think it was like 26 or something, like 24 actually, meeting one of my mentors, okay? I met my mentor, I think it was 22 actually. I met my mentor around 22, Boris. He always said to me, you want to be the strategist, not the doer, okay? And more in business terms. So strategy was so important, and I never really, that was when I first heard the word strategy in life, was like, how do I apply strategy? How do I even think of strategy? Okay, so strategy is secondly important too. And then having a strategy now, and then executing the strategy. Those three pillars, like I said, okay? And they're so important because, like I said, Jeff Bezos says if stress just comes from knowing what you need to do and not taking action, and stress becomes an anxiety, and then anxiety becomes a panic attack, okay? So understanding those three pillars is really important. So how do you go after those three things? How do you teach yourself new habits so that you don't become procrastinator? How do you become? How do you get the discipline to teach yourself those things? And I believe it's this simple answer in life is constantly being self-aware of what you're curious about. You know, if you're trying to attack your business plan, start reading business books and start listening to audiobooks that are about business and start going on YouTube and looking for knowledge on business, okay? Just needing knowledge, number one. That's the first pillar. Then in two, sit back. The worst thing in life is not being able to sit in a quiet room by yourself and strategize and think, how do I go about this situation? Okay? That's the second most important thing. There's a quote by somebody, I forget their name. It says, I think it's Albert Einstein. The worst thing a man can't do is sit in a room by himself and strategize and think. I believe it's Albert Einstein's. Don't quote me wrong on it, but Google it and tell me, and comment below and tell me where it's from. Because today, in today's world, everybody is their attention span is too thin. They can't sit in a room by themselves. They can't even sit by themselves. Everyone's on their phones, constantly trying to be entertained in some way. But how do we entertain ourselves in a more mental health way, So number two is being able to say, you know what? I'm not leaving this room until I figure this out. That's the second pillar, strategy, okay? And third, execution. Kind of a tough topic to nail down, but execution is understanding a few core things. It's don't overthink things, just do things. And if you fail, that's a sign that you're in the right path. When you fail, you're like, crap, it didn't work. Good, because that's a sign that you took action and execution, okay? That's actually a reward. Don't look at failure as kind of a deadbeat thing or, making you feel down, okay? Because when you fail, the more you can fail, the faster you can grow. I think gentleman, famous marketer Seth Godin says, if I failed more than you have, therefore I win. And it's very true, because most people don't know how to fail, or they don't want to fail, or they don't even take the action, which is the execution. The action is the execution, okay? So those are, I believe, the three main pillars. Maybe almost four, because number one is knowledge, number two is strategy, and then three is execution. But they all need discipline, right? You gotta have some discipline for all three things. So it's kind of four pillars, okay? So I hope this video helps you guys out. If you have any feedback, I know there's gonna be a lot. I want to hear from you all. If this video helps you or doesn't help you, please comment below. I'm making this video for a good friend of mine who I believe really needed this. And I hope this video helps everybody out, I still struggle with those four things every day, but I've gotten a lot better over the last 10 years, But the brain is hardwired in a certain way, and it's natural for it to act that way, but it's more important for us to adapt, okay, which is one of the most powerful scientific theory of all time by Charles Darwin, right? It's not the strongest or the smartest who survive, it's the most adaptable. So if you know you gotta do something, you gotta bend teeth, Hook to crook, you gotta bend teeth. You gotta be a pirate at some point to be like, hell no, I gotta go this way, I'm feeling it. Believe in yourself, Here's an exercise for you all, and I think this exercise really helped me out, okay? I don't know what it's called, I just made it up on my own. And I noticed sometimes a lot of things I make up on my own actually exists out there. But I told myself, for 7 days, I'm not gonna listen to nobody. I'm only gonna listen to myself. Whether my doctor told me something, whether my attorney told me something, whether my parents, whether my friends, or my family. And the important part of this exercise is to build and to see how accurate your opinions are for yourself is, right? So for instance, you go see a doctor, or before you go see a doctor, you gotta be honest with yourself and think, all right, what do I think I need to do, right? And doing those things. I'm not going to listen to my attorney. I'm not going to listen to anybody's advice. I'm only going to listen to myself for the next 7 days. I remember doing this exercise, and then within 3 days, everything I told myself that I needed to do, I did, and I saw results immediately. And I started to realize, wow, all along I've been looking for answers when the answers within myself, and now I build so much more self-confidence from that. And it's this simple exercise of just listening to yourself only for 7 days. It won't kill you. It won't really make you either, but it gives you some realization without yourself. Okay, so I try that exercise. Starting next Monday, that's all you can do is listen to yourself. Nobody else in this world, just for 7 days, and see where it kind of gets you. The beautiful thing is when you fail doing that, you realize a lot of great things, and if you achieve something doing that, you realize you are king, in a way. But there comes with the balance of being open-minded and all this other stuff that comes with it. But more importantly, experiment with that. See where your brain sort of lies. Know where you need to recalibrate your accuracy and your judgment and your self-belief and all this other stuff, okay? But those 4 things, okay, let's recap. It's knowledge. Go and seek the knowledge, whatever you're curious about. Strategy, learn to strategize, sit in the room by yourself. And execution, just trying things, doing it. If you come out with a plan, execute it. And if you fail, great. If you don't fail, even better, okay? And then having the discipline for that. I think those are the 4 core things for self-management, okay? Hope this video helps you out. Comment below. Thank you. Have a great night.